Yes, Liverpool FC. What are you saying? Um, what's the goss? What's they usually say? What's the gossip? Why is Arne Slot so much under? Why is he under pressure? Why is everyone coming for, the guy that just won the Premier League, the champion, you know, the champion of the Premier League? Why is everyone coming for him now? The pundits, the media, the journalists, the fans, rivals. Obviously, as a rival fan, we loving it. That's where we want to see you. We want to see you guys suffer. But is that really fair coming from his own fan base or the media? They loved him so much last season, and I just don't see. How they turn around so quickly against him. And when I say against him, they've gone against him. If you look at the amount of posts this morning from when they lost against Palace, from what I've seen so far, I think I've got about 15 episodes of different pundits, journalists, fans, videos on YouTube. Everyone just doing their own bit. People calling him names. People saying, he's the next one to get sacked. Yes, he's lost 6 games so far, but he's still within a touching distance within top four. He's having his blip at the minute. Arsenal are flying, Sunderland are flying. Those other teams are flying. But is it better to have your blip early in the season, that the final, or at the end of the season? It's like when you look at Arsenal, it's the same thing every year. Arsenal, first half of the season, Arsenal will fly. They will take you all out. Arsenal fan base will go, we win in the league again. Boom, the end of the season, come to the end, they start falling apart. Then that's when teams like Man City will start picking up, and Liverpool start picking up. It's like, okay, we're coming after you now. We're gonna win the league. So Slot is having his blip at the minute. I'm not trying to make excuses for him at all because he spent so much money, over 400 million. But is he really that point where you got to say, oh yeah, get him out? He's got to go. We've had enough. He's too stubborn. He's too this. Obviously, he's got to figure out how to play the current football the Premier League is turning into now, because it looks like football is winning again. Football is back. Even teams like Man City will struggle to play against side teams now because teams are going back to playing the long ball. Nobody wants to keep the ball at the minute. Nobody wants to keep it. And when you watch Liverpool played Palace a couple of days ago, he was still trying to keep the ball. Even with youngsters, you're still telling them to keep the ball. And and Palace will press them. Out of nowhere, boom, they lost the ball. And Palace will score. And yeah, keeping the ball, playing tiki-taka, whatever, it's good against teams that wants to play like that. Maybe wait for Man City when they come. But teams like United, they've changed it. Manchester United, Amorim must change his tactics. It's not got a goalkeeper that says, go up top, I'll send the ball up top. I'm not going to wait for you to come and meet me in my box. I'm not risking it. So I think that's where Slot is struggling at the minute. He doesn't know whether to play the same ball as the opposition or continue his own ball. But the reality is, you've got to be able to adapt to each game, each team, each formation, each tactics. So if they're playing that same ball, if they're playing that ball against you, the long ball, the long throws, whatever, why the hell would you want to keep the ball and get them to press you or counter attack when they win the ball against you? Because they will let you come into their box, keep the ball, and then as soon as they win the ball, bang, up top. But then your defenders, where's this guy? Where's this defender? Your defenders become useless. This guy, one of the probably the main culprit, he becomes useless. You know, he's out of place. He doesn't know where to go. He can't run back. You know, he used to be the main guy. You know, he used to be the main guy. The reason I've got the lens at the minute is everyone is pointing at the journalist. Everything is pointing towards Liverpool at the minute, as you can see there. That's why I've got that together, so you can see it makes sense to you. If it doesn't, then I hope my explanation clear things up for you. But this guy is pretty useless at the minute, so you can have two of them. You still make no difference. You can have two Virgils, Van Dijk. It still wouldn't make a difference. And I watched the Palace game, and I saw a glimpse of his style of defending. One of the youngsters copying that style, turning their back, sideways. I'm like, have you not seen that's not been successful this season? Why are you trying to adapt that same style of play? Two of this guy will not succeed right now. Will not win you games for on the club, because he needs to adapt to the way other teams are playing now. Before, teams used to be scared of him. Nobody used to run at him, or he never used to press anyone. He just takes a step back, and that's where he got this ridiculous stats from. Nobody has dribbled past him this season or last season, whatever you want to call it. But the microscope is on them at the minute. If Amorim can change tactics, why can't you? Well, it's your defenders. They're not working at the minute. They're not working. I think he's probably been the worst player for them this season. Van Dijk has been the worst player for them this season. In the back line, I would say. The new players that he's bought, like players like Frimpong. What does he really offer? He's a very good player, very talented player. Frimpong, very talented, bro. But again, it's a style of play, right? He's currently injured and he's not able to do anything else. But when he comes on, when he's on the pitch, yeah, you can see him. He's eager to impress. He's eager to press. He's eager to do things that he used to do in Germany. But again, it begs the question: which German player or which player from Germany has actually succeeded in the Premier League? There's a few. But Frimpong, he looks too small in the back four. So what's Slot gonna do with him? It's not really made a difference, to be honest. So should he go back to this guy? Andy Robertson? I think he should get him playing again. I think he should get Robertson playing again. Okay, international, he was pretty shit, to be honest. But overall, put him again in this team. I'm sure Robertson will be motivated to impress, to hold on his place again, and seize the opportunity for a place as a starter rather than a bench warmer. So Frimpong is good, but I think you need to ease him into this team. I remember when they were signing these players, I said, they're signing players that are actually ready to play in the Premier League. But then you sit back and go, you know what, the Premier League is a different ball game. It's a different ball game. And Frimpong is finding out that he's currently injured anyway. Konate has been probably the best defender so far this season, whilst Van Dijk, or whatever you want to call him, VVD, it's actually relapse for some reason. It's like he went into rehab, he came out, and he got worse. He's not doing anything major for Liverpool right now. You know, I think you should give Andy Robertson a chance. I think you should give him a chance. Get him back playing. But this guy, I think this guy should go back on the bench. I think you should bench this guy for a bit. What do you think? What do you think, chat? You know, I think you should bench Van Dijk a couple of games, games or two. You know, I'll give him a break. Maybe he actually needed a break, Van Dijk, because he's played every single game for Liverpool. I don't know when was the last time he was on the bench, apart from against Palace now. Maybe he needs that break, you know. Let Van Dijk take a break, put him on the bench for a bit, and see how he performs when he comes back. You know? But it's a difficult place they found themselves right now. 5 games or 6 games in a row. Well, not in a row, but it's lost 6 games from someone that won the league for you last season, and now all of a sudden the fan base or the media or the pundits, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone is turning against the manager, someone that just won the league for you guys. I know results matters. I know it's the result that counts in this day and age, but give the guy, you know, a leeway, right? Give the guy a leeway. But we're loving it as rival fans. I want to see you get relegated, but it's not possible. You're never gonna get relegated. You're just having a blip at the minute, and I think when your team gel, it's gonna be scary for the rest of the Premier League. You know, it's gonna be scary for the rest of the teams, because if you look at the only player that's playing for them right now, Ekitike, he's once everyone knows how he's playing, where he needs to be or where people need to be, where to receive the ball or to pass the ball, that Liverpool team is going to be scary. So I'm not surprised at the minute. They are, they're going through this blip, but to call for him to be sacked, bro, that's the scary part. That's scary, because like I said, he won the league last season. But he might need to go back to his old players that won the league for him. This guy. And him. So both of them. He might need a stable back four for now. Just stabilize things until the players are, get into it. You know what would have helped them? If they managed to sign this guy. This guy would have killed it at Liverpool. I'm not even gonna put. He's currently above Van Dijk when you think about his defensive duties. You tell me, what do you think? Because I think currently the correct performance this season so far, he's played better than Van Dijk. Yeah. He's not losing his head. It's captain material. All of that. Give me a minute, I'll be back. But anyway, I'm going to leave you with a short clip here where you'll see, like I said, I've got about 15, 16 clips where they've been criticizing him already. But here is Arne Slot giving his press. And then later on I'll share some more stuff about, what's going on with this club. But Matt Gay would have been a perfect signing for Liverpool, man. Here we go, guys. Listen to this.
What's the time scale on there?
Yeah, as I said many times, in the end phase of the injury, things can go slow down a bit, and things can go faster. Let's wait and see where they are. But like I said, Ryan trained with us for the first time yesterday. They will train with us today, and then we're gonna make the call if he's able to start, yes or no. And the other two are probably 99.9% sure not in the squad Saturday.
You talked about squad depth after the game against Crystal Palace. What is it you think you were missing? What did you think that you need?
We miss nothing. So I'm happy that you asked this question. I'm completely happy with the team, with all the quality we have, and I'm also completely convinced by the strategy and the policy we have. But that makes it the issue, if you could talk about an issue, is that not all of them have had a proper pre-season or have been injured during the season. So then when 3 or 4 are injured, you go back to 16 players. So I am a firm believer in the fact that 20, 21 players are enough, but you have to keep them fit, as we did last season. And we are struggling a bit more to keep them fit for, in my opinion, obvious reasons, because Alex is a great example of this. Came to us, I think, the 1st of September. A few others have missed out on pre-season. A few others have had their injuries in pre-season. So it has been more difficult than last season to keep them all available. And if then a few of them are not available, then it comes down a lot towards the same players. And maybe last season we were more lucky, or now we're a bit more unlucky. Again, no excuses for our results before people are going to say this again. But we had to play a lot of away games with only 2 days rest in between. And that would have been a difficult schedule for every player last season. And I mean a player that has been fit throughout pre-season, throughout the whole season. But that has not been our situation. And then I think you have to manage it, because upcoming week is again free in 7 or 8 days. So there's nothing to do with the squad depth. It has to do with how we've went through the season in terms of injuries and availability, and players available to play every single time 2 games in 3 days.
Finally, for me, there's been a lot of speculation about contract negotiations for you. Are there talks ongoing? Can you tell us?
That is the last question I was expecting. I think my focus could be completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways, and that's my first answer. And the second answer is that contract talks, if they are even there, are never. We never spoke about this here. But let us first start to win again. That's where my main focus is on.
Arne, you mentioned there about the injuries that your team is suffering with and have suffered with across the first few weeks of the season, and the fact that the schedule is as demanding as it ever is. With the issues that you've got at the moment, how are you going about trying to solve these problems? How difficult is it to solve them in season with the injuries and with the number of games that you've got as well?
Just handling the situation as it is. So Alex is. Let me use Alex as an example. He had to do his preseason inside the season, and people can then argue, "Why do you play him?" But yeah, if I don't play him, I don't have him available, and we need to have him available because otherwise I have to play Hugo every single game. And I was just with Owen Hargreaves when he made the comparison between the two of them, and he showed that the both of them, for another reason by the way, but he showed me over there that both of them played 34 games last season, the other one 34, and we play 60 over here. So that's why I need to get Alex as soon as I can into playing as many games as he can, and that has been something not only with him but with a few others as well. So Jeremy Frimpong has been in and out with injuries quite a few times. Same with Conor Bradley. So if one is out, the other one has to play more. That's why I've played maybe also Dominic Szoboszlai a few times in that position. So that has been something what every team, by the way, has. So it's again not an excuse for us because every team works with this. But what was a bit different than for example for me last season is that last season they all had 1 year Premier League experience as a minimum, and they were all fit when we started and they stayed fit, and now they weren't all fit from the start, and then it's also then you have to some players have to play maybe even more than you want them to do, which is a risk for them getting injured as well. But it's just a situation as it is, and we have still more than enough good players available to play the game on Saturday, to play the game on Tuesday, and to play the game on Sunday. But I have to take care of a few of them, and that's why I made the decision not to play 7 or 8 players 2 days ago.
When you look at the run of results you've had, I know you've never had a run like this in your career before. How much are you learning about yourself and your capabilities as a manager to adapt to this sort of situation and deal with all these problems that we're talking about?
Maybe learning comes then a little bit later, because now you're mainly focused on how can I change, and you always evaluate the decisions you've made, the choices you've made, or the things you've done afterwards. And my focus is now not so much on trying to look back on what has happened, but more on how can we get a very good performance on Saturday. And so yeah, maybe the learning part is going to come a little bit later, but for now the focus is on the future. And is on how can we get a good result, or at least a good performance against Villa, because normally a good performance from this quality players leads to a good result.
Thank you.
Arne, what are the key factors do you think that are going to help you arrest this recent poor run of results, 6 defeats in 7 games, and what's the key to getting the best out of the players again? I know there have been elements of misfortune in that run, but there have been occasions. I know last week was the first time I've heard you say you're really disappointed in the performance.
Yeah, for 60 minutes, yes. 30 minutes was okay, but 60 minutes was... I think first half against Palace was also similar to that 60 minutes I was talking about. The thing that gives me the most confidence is the quality of the players we are having. So, and the amount of chances these players are still creating. So this will eventually always lead to these players scoring more goals than we've done till now. And we have to address certain other things. But yeah, if I talk about that, if I'm speaking about what we have to improve, people then tell me I'm using excuses. So maybe it's better now just to say we need to address certain things to do better. But there are a lot of positives to go into this week as well. Like I just said, quality of the players is the first and foremost. And the amount of chances we create from open play is still good enough to compete for the positions we want to compete for.
I know one of the things I'm sure you want to address is maybe the lack of physicality in elements of, in times of some of the recent matches, particularly last week. Obviously, the players are trying to win their battles. On occasions, is it down to sort of a lack of confidence that sort of, because things are going wrong, one thing leads to another? Because that can be a really important part, but it is a really important part of the game.
Yeah, no, and it gets more and more important. In every Premier League game, let alone in games of ours. It's never helpful if you end a game of football against United with conceding a set piece and you start another one in the Premier League and you concede after 5 minutes a throw-in from a set piece. But I think, not 100% sure if I'm correct, we had to defend 6 set pieces. And 15 we defended well. But yeah, we're at this moment in a time where 15 isn't enough because we conceded 16. And the first one, someone said to me, who worked in a completely different department, but he said, no plan survives the first contact. And that is also a little bit what makes it difficult if you are 5 minutes in the game and you're 1-0 down. That is never helpful for confidence and for the plan you're having. But like I said, if I liked a little part of the game, it was the part after we conceded the 1-0, because at that moment of time we were creative, we created our chances, but we couldn't score. And then in the last 10 minutes it became more of their game again, and eventually the way we conceded the 2-0, yeah, that is something that is far from our standards.
Hi Arne, there's been a lot of discussion in the last few weeks about long balls, and then discussion about your discussion of long balls. The next two opponents in the Premier League, Aston Villa and Man City, play less long balls than anyone else in the league. So do you think that this might help you impose your game on those teams, or do you think maybe those teams will try and adapt their game to try and focus on what will be seen as a weakness?
So this is what I was saying before. Premier League is back. Stoke City, those teams, Bolton, Wanderers, Blackburn, Wigan, where they used to use long balls, for counter-attacks, long throws to gain more possession or to gain an advantage towards big teams like Liverpool, United, and other teams. And to the point that now, because Pep has instilled this thing about tiki-taka in football for so long, now managers are struggling to go back into those days where they will know how to deal with long throws, long balls, sign the right players for it. And that's where the problem is at the minute, because even United, they've had to revert back to that. They gone, after, play from the back, launch the ball forward, let's go fight for it. You see Dalot now, taking long throws, and Slot has not been able to adapt to that. Pep will struggle right now, but we'll see. But because he's got top quality players, he probably survive it. But with teams like that, you'll sit back, allow you to have the ball, and then as soon as they win the ball, they launch the ball forward. And by the time you've got all your players in their own half, it's too late and you'll concede goals. So let's see what he does against Aston Villa, because they play less long balls, less long throws. So we'll see what happens with that one. But let's see what he's got to say.
No, they're also really good at that. So Chelsea played their own game against us. They brought the ball out from the back as well, and we didn't win that one as well. So again, when people ask me after the game, why was it difficult? I try to explain why it was difficult. And if the question is why it was difficult, I answer the question why it was difficult. People don't ask me, can you come up with excuses? And then I give an answer. So I tried to explain why it was difficult. And I did this only for the first time after United, because the games before that I felt would be stupid to tell so, because I'm not 100% sure if everybody is already noticing what we're seeing. Then I underestimate a lot of analysts throughout the country. But if it happens after the 10th game and 9 of them were so much focus on long balls, then I think it's fair to say for me, if you ask me the question, why is it difficult? To say this without opening the eyes of upcoming opponents. These two teams we face now indeed bring the ball more out of the back, but they're also really good in it. So I think City is a high pressing team. We're really good in high pressing, but I did see Villa being able to play through that multiple times. And if I'm 100% correct, I think I am. They won the game by a set piece. Yeah. So another time, the importance of a set piece.
Will?
Arne, you've not kept a clean sheet in the past 10 games. Is it a case now to maybe build from the back and not put as much emphasis on the attack and play, maybe play Joe Gomez break back and just picking it up and go from there, or would that be going a short of weeks a little bit?
It does go against my beliefs, but I've won games in the past, so we're talking about City away. That went maybe against my beliefs, but it was necessary to play it over there like that in the second half. So I would be more than open to adapt in certain situations. But I don't think the story is, at least in my opinion, is that we concede chance after chance after chance, and that we are too open, or that it's actually absolutely not like this. Every single game, maybe apart from Palace, because in the first half we could have been 2 or 3-0 down. And maybe the Brentford game, I think all the other games we deserved much more than we got. And we hardly conceded a chance. Even this week with the team I put out, which played for the first time together, I think they only conceded 3 big chances. Unfortunately, all 3 went in. But that's because they were big. That they weren't chances, they were big chances. So I don't see us conceding a lot of chances. So I don't see a reason to change our playing style completely. But yeah, we need to do better in not conceding goals. That's for sure.
Michael, last one.
Do you look at Villa, had a very difficult start of the season as a sign of how quickly they can turn around? I think they didn't win in the first 6 matches.
Yes.
You're obviously in a difficult position right now. But Villa is quite positive, so does that sign that they can turn around quite quickly, can't they?
It's also a sign that it's better to do it the way they did it than the way we did it. So if you don't win in the beginning, people are like, oh, maybe they don't have the same team as last season or whatever, and then they start to win, and then everything is very positive again. Where with us, I think it's exactly the opposite. So, but we're both on the same points, and apart from Arsenal, I think many teams are in and around the same points. So again, it tells you also how hard the Premier League is, and yeah, they've done very well in the last 5, 6, 7 or 8 games, and that didn't came as a surprise, because even in the games they've lost before, you could already see the signs that they are a very good team and their playing style is really good. And normally, although with us the run is already quite long, you don't every time lose a game of football where you create more chances than the other team. But yeah. They decided not to make a habit out of that, and let's hope we decide not to make a habit out of having more chances than the opponent, but not win it.
Next door.
So you can just about see there what it comes out with there after that press conference there. he said some good stuff. He makes some excuses, but even though he said he's not making excuses, well, clearly, he's missing. I know he talks about injuries, but every team suffers injuries. So if you think about United, consistently in and out, we've got players like Mount, Shaw, who are consistently in and out of the team. But I think the only problem with this guy at the minute, this team, Liverpool team, is the fact that the new players, they've not gelled yet. And once they do, it's scary hours for every Premier League team. And if he can adapt to the way other teams are playing right now with the long balls and what's not, then maybe, yeah. Anyway, let's listen to the guys assess what they've got to say here.
Go with the team he went with tonight.
Well, he said that was a choice I made. That was a team I picked. It was the wrong team. Make no mistake. I mean, I said
Even
before,
with Villa, Real Madrid, City.
you picked a team today. No, look, when you looked at them, I see you asked me the question before, and I said, well, you've made it really difficult for yourself tonight picking that team. You've not helped the young players in there because the team and the players in and around them. He made 10 changes from the weekend against Brentford. Like you can't tell me that he's picked that team today and those subs thinking that will get me a result against a really good Crystal Palace side. You might hope you can, but I didn't believe for 1 second they could beat him. And he's made a mistake today. But you know what? He's been unbelievable since he come to the club. They're under this is real pressure for everybody concerned. But that's football. That's the price on the ticket. They climbed the mountain last year. They did something absolutely sensational. Now they've got to go back to that character they showed last year to when they won the title and stick together and get some results. Because there's not just, when you ask what's going on with Liverpool, there's so many things. There's so many things. It's not just the defence, it's not just the midfield, it's not just full, it's everything right now. And they've got to show some character. They've got really tough games ahead, but I think today, and I haven't said it very often about Arne Slot, because I think he's been sensational, but today was a big mistake. You can't tell me that team was ever going to be capable of beating a really strong Crystal Palace side.
Does it add to the noise? Does it add to the pressure?
I agree with Jamie. Here.
As Arne Slot kind of said, is the pressure at such a level already that it couldn't have gone much further, whatever happened tonight?
No, it gets a lot louder after tonight.
Even
with
the team?
They were well beaten, Mark. Well beaten. At home, on a run that they're on. I think the team selection actually probably adds more volume and more noise, because for me, when you've been in a team that's really struggled, and we spoke about it before the game, that's when you want your leaders. That's when, again, if it's me in that changing room, I want to play tonight. Let me go out. And I know people are going to say, fatigue and the games are adding up. And there are certain games that you need to just get out there and try and get a result. And I don't think he's actually done a good enough job of trying to turn down that noise at times and maybe just stop the rot. Chelsea, get back in the game. Just take a point, you end up going to lose that. Manchester United, get back in the game, take a point. It almost feels it is all or nothing every game. And then that just spirals and it rumbles on, and then the pressure gets too big to handle, which clearly, not having any of the boys on the bench was my big worry, not just the starting team.
So
I agree
last
absolutely.
season at this same stage, they went to Brighton and knocked Brighton out. He kind of mixed and matched his starting 11 for that game. Tyler Morton, for example, started at Brighton last season, but his bench was a lot stronger. He was able to bring Nunes on or Salah on.
That's the big thing as well. When you look at, and he might, if they get a couple of great results, maybe Aston Villa and Manchester and Real Madrid, he'll turn around and say that was the right decision. He'll say, well, I got it right. But I felt today, and I listened to Arne Slot, and I loved last year. I couldn't. Honesty is a great thing. Really good to be honest. Come out and talk about how the team's doing. But I think right now, talking about we can't play against a team who play a low block against us. We can't defend against set pieces. That will transmit to the players that you are then giving them a massive out. And I think that doesn't really, for me, is not a great idea right now. You know, if you want to say that to the players, but when you're coming out so publicly and saying these things, even they're talking about every 2 days, you're a successful club. You won the league last year. That's the price on the ticket. Look at Chelsea. They had to go and play up until, I don't know, at the Club World Cup. They've got it really difficult, and they've got a load of injuries. But I think for Arne right now, there's lots of sort of negative chat that's coming out, and I don't want to hear that too much. The fans don't want to hear it. People that have gone to that game, paid a load of money to go and watch that team, and seeing after the 10 changes, that's not ideal either. So I think it's been a really bad day for him, but he's got to quickly get it right, get everybody going. Big characters are going to be needed for the weekend against Aston Villa, who had a brilliant result against Man City. But Joby's spot on. They've got to get going really quickly.
And also a lot of heat is going to be on him. He is the manager, but the players have to step up as well. And what he's done tonight is said, right, I'm going to rest the big hitters, well, pretty much everybody. And now what you then have to go and do as a player is you've got to go and deliver, and you've got to help him out a little bit. He's under pressure.
Don't let me down.
Exactly. And I think that's where you're hoping to get a little bit back from those players that you've left out tonight, you know, in the next 2-3 games, because they definitely need something just to turn that tide.
Bad night for Liverpool then. Great night for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, the guys, they're spot on there. They've got a point. Like when I looked at the team he picked out when I was watching the game, I was like, if he loses the game between Real Madrid and Aston Villa, and the pressure will be so high up there for him, the fans will probably start calling for his head. Because at no point the bench was so empty. It was just kids. Mix it up. Leave 2-3 big players on the bench and see how the game pan out. But you've not done that at all. What he did there is set the kids up for to fail. And Palace is not like a championship team. You are not championship team where team will go, we're underestimating them. You are Liverpool, regardless of who you put, and regardless of who you picked, which player you picked, they will still beat Liverpool as a football club because you're the biggest, one of the biggest, And when he picks that team, I looked at it, I was like, nah, bro, you've made that. You believe in your academy players, but some stage you got to look at yourself and what? Let me put a couple of leaders in that team. And they struggle against Palace. If the starting 11 could struggle against Palace, what do you think they're gonna do to the kids? And that's exactly it's men versus boys, really, and that's why they lost that game. But again, like I said, I've got 15 episodes of people just talking about him. The guys at TalkSport, the guys Sky Sport, the guys ESPN, the guy everywhere. And this is Jim White, by the way.
Liverpool. After 4 consecutive league defeats, Liverpool want to bounce back to winning ways tonight. Of course they do. And it's Palace. Jamie Carragher on Liverpool. And there were a few raised eyebrows at this. I don't think they've got enough physicality. To see the champions lose 4 games in a row with the expenditure in the summer, I think we're in crisis time. Are they?
I suppose, yeah, in some ways, because it's such a turnaround to lose 4 on the spin for the champions, and the fact they started the season with all those wins. So it's kind of a mini crisis, I'd call it. If it carries on and keeps going, then it's going to grow. But
there's the problem. Yeah.
The physicality aspect I agree with, but I don't think that's because they don't have the right personnel. I think it's because so many of them aren't at the sharp and fitness levels you need to be at, or they were at last season. We've talked about the reasons why in terms of some of them missing pre-seasons, some of them trying to get up to match fitness by playing games, and you can see that's difficult for some of them. Some of the new signings, a bit overwhelmed by it, maybe the enormity of the expectation. Their work without the ball isn't good enough. It's not tenacious enough. It's not. I did a little piece at the weekend on Match of the Day looking at Liverpool without the ball, and when I was going over all the different footage, it was, you know, second in the tackles, second to second balls, let's say, losing headers, getting knocked off the ball too easily, just things we didn't see last season.
So you were looking at clips?
Yeah, I was just going over the game.
And did that surprise you when this became quite prevalent, that they're not doing well enough there, they're not doing well enough there?
It wasn't just at the weekend, it's been happening most weeks. I mean, I don't know if you saw the game, Martin, but do you remember when the right back went on the run from his own right back position and ended up in the left wing position and gone past about 4 or 5 players? And I was watching it thinking, that can't be right. You know, he's flying past people not getting after him or winning the tackle.
This was in the game against Brentford.
Yeah, doesn't matter how good you are with the ball and how many chances you make. If you're not at it without the ball, and to be at it without the ball, you don't have to be 6'2" and 15 stone and win every tackle. You just have to do the work and not be lazy. And I mean, the amount of crosses.
What's Slot's reaction to that, do you think, Danny? If you're seeing that, is he raging that they're not at it enough without the ball?
I think he'll see it, and he's trying to find the right team at the moment who are fit enough and sharp enough to get back to being defensively sound. Too many of them are below the levels either they were last season or they should be when they come through the door. I mean, people like Szoboszlai. I mean, he's been the best player. He looks great physically. You know, it's not all of them, but when you're carrying 4.
But don't you think do you think the manager has created an issue for himself, really? Because his second half of the season, he compared the stats at the beginning, said how many chances they were creating, how many goals they were scoring, and the second half became much more difficult. And he said, well, we need to find more solutions. When actually they were finding solutions, they were finding a way to win. At the start of this season, they were winning every game, weren't they? Very late goals.
Yeah.
And when he changed the platform, the structure of the midfield, I thought that you're asking for trouble a little bit. When Wirtz, you spent 100 million on him. Okay, no one could complain about. We saw what we saw last season. But I thought bringing two defenders into the back line, you know, Kirkes really, Frimpong going. I think Alexander-Arnold, one of the finest right backs, with whatever you want to say, can he defend, can't he? But you're losing a whole lot out of that back line. I would have felt he should have kept the structure the same in the midfield. I know Gravenberch has been unavailable. I know that McAllister's had fitness issues. Isak obviously not quite coming in and doing, and then Salah's just completely dried up. So if you go away from what everyone knows and that sort of routine, you've made yourself more vulnerable in the games. They're not as secure. They're not as difficult to beat. And I think that's what's been the problem. I think they should go back to the system that they played last season.
Well, he tried.
They've got the personnel to do that.
He tried on a couple of occasions and still lost.
Yeah.
So he's trying. I mean, he must be scratching his head. It's bizarre, really, because when you think of the Liverpool-Arsenal game earlier in the season, I thought we saw two teams really good defensively cancel each other out a little bit. Very good structures, very good, well-disciplined. Liverpool gave them so much respect and managed to get over the line in that game. And there was no question marks about the setup and the discipline there. So, I don't know. I just think when you've got teams now going out against Liverpool and saying, right, they're struggling with long balls.
Yeah.
They're struggling with winning second balls. Let's put loads of balls in the box, or let's get in behind them early and win some seconds. Liverpool haven't been used to that. So they've got to find a way to be more competitive without the ball. The other stuff will look after itself.
Right. We all love to hear what it's like in the dressing room. You guys were there. You spent your careers there. But for us, the door's shut in our faces. We don't know what goes on.
Before we get to that, exactly, that's what I mean. Like, he's got to find a way to adapt to the long balls, the long throws, the low blocks and everything. He's got to find a way. And I think that's what Amorim has done. Amorim is going, oh, what? If you guys are going to play long balls, well, I can play long balls too. I'm not going to allow you to press my players because I've not got the legs for it. My defenders don't have the legs for it. The midfield don't have the legs for it. Definitely Casemiro doesn't have the legs for it. And the back three or whatever, only a couple might have the legs for it. So now I'm not going to let you press me. I'm going to play you the same ball that you play me. That's the only way you can beat them. Only a few teams now that are capable of dealing with the long balls and also keeping the ball at the same time. So what you got to do now, you got to find a way to hit them on the counter or hit them with the long balls. You've got tall players, you've got big players up top. Ekitike is big, Isak is big, Szoboszlai is big, it's massive, Gravenberch is massive. All of those players, they're huge players in terms of height and everything else. So why are you not utilizing that? Why are you not capitalizing on the fact that you've got big players up top in the midfield and everything else. Let the goalkeeper send the ball up top, wins it, and carry on. But anyway, let's hear what they got to say about the dressing room.
Chiesa of Liverpool gave us a bit of an insight after the defeat to Brentford at the weekend. And he told us it was silence. He said no one was speaking because afterwards everybody knows sometimes you don't have to speak about the situation. It was good after that game we didn't talk because it's a sign that everyone wants to change. Silence. I'd have thought you guys would be raging.
Well, the Wenger thing after the games was, you know, where we didn't really go over it too much.
That was Julian.
That was the sort of, because really, you can only do damage, Jim, in that situation. Do you know, if I walked out of here now and told you what I thought of you after this radio show, you know, it'd be best I wait until Monday and then I look back and think,
or even after that.
Danny pointing out every mistake I made on the show. I let all that go and think, do you know what, it was a good show. But immediately afterwards, you've still got that emotion.
Yeah.
You're going to strike out at people. Everybody's a bit prickly. I get it, where the manager's just gone, do you know what, maybe I've said a bit too much. Let's leave them with silence. Let's leave them with their own thoughts.
Is that what you lot did?
Or are you not surprised?
That's what happened with Wenger, yeah.
Martin, are you not surprised? Because I don't think Jim's talking about the manager. Yeah, I agree. Probably better. Because
I'm talking about the players.
You're talking about the players.
Yeah.
After a beating at Brentford, I'm surprised he said that. Not because he keep everything behind closed doors. He said it innocently, but I'm surprised one or two aren't kicking off a bit. You know, someone has a row. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. I mean, I don't remember losing a game where we didn't go in and someone's at someone else.
But Danny, we're 4 games in here now. They've probably had every scenario in every game afterwards, and then this is one of silence where the manager's gone, you know, I tried to blast him a little bit. It hasn't worked.
No, but if you're a centre half in that game and you feel like you're not...
Well, I might already have given you a rollicking to say, where are you? You know, and here we are 4 games in. And I you know, so I have to sit in silence. And actually, you know what? I've actually made mistakes myself. So it's about getting protection, isn't it? We had this with Martin O'Neill, who's now going in, and he said, yeah, you typical, you just want protection. But no, I don't. These 2 central defenders, Konate has looked a bit, he's not at it, in one of your famous words, he's not at it, he's not really at the level, okay? But he needed to get fitter. And he's a slow burner when it comes to that. And they changed his training plan, by the way. Klopp used to train him too much. He got injured. They worked with him. And now, you know, he's not getting the protection, Jim. He wants that midfield. That midfield for Liverpool last year, that engine room was the best in the Premier League, and it certainly ain't this season.
Yeah. But are you telling me that on Saturday, if you were in that dressing room, the away dressing room at Brentford,
it's unusual.
Liverpool had lost, and the silence, you wouldn't have broken that silence.
No.
If you felt you had something to say.
Well, what Martin's saying is...
that wasn't the mode at Arsenal.
If he'd have made the mistake, if he's not playing well himself, it's hard for you to pipe up.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe what Chiesa's...
I mean, Martin, you have people by the throat.
Yeah, but no. If look, I have to reflect on myself. You have to look in the mirror first, don't you? And no one can look at themselves and say they're doing well right now.
No, but you could say, I think it's fair to say it's unusual that silence happens after a defeat.
Of course.
I mean, do you remember, like, crazy scenes, Danny?
Yeah. I mean, very rarely if you lose a game, especially if you're at a club like Arsenal, Liverpool, you're always expected to win every game. There's always an inquest after. Someone's blaming, somebody's having a pop at somebody. Or the, you know, even the coaches. I've seen coaches and players pin each other up. And go, you know, we've all seen it, but I don't remember. It will have happened because sometimes you're just devastated, and everyone's thinking, I don't know what to say. Maybe there was disbelief. Yeah, but that was their worst.
But everything in their world last year was fantastic, wasn't it? Everything went well for them. They kept winning games. It's great, and you look around, you learn about people when you're not winning, Jim. Do you know? And that's probably what it's a new group. Look, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I'm saying, why was Diaz allowed to leave? You know, Diaz that's his best season in a Liverpool shirt. He's gone. Okay, maybe the money men got it wrong and didn't sign him up early enough, but he's allowed to leave. Alexander-Arnold, for me, was one that you had to keep. He's the key. You might look at Salah now and say, has he ran his race? But maybe he's the person who saves you for the rest of the season. The manager's got to try and find all these ingredients.
Yeah.
I'm not quite seeing there are not many happy stories of these new signings at the moment.
Apart from
nobody I can tell you is happy. These are all professional young men.
Will Liverpool
who want
be
to
happy
do well.
tonight on full time?
I think so. I think they'll have enough. I think Palace will make changes as well because they're in Europe.
Got to, haven't they?
I think they'll both make changes which will benefit Liverpool.
Liverpool will be
Which obviously this is they're talking
Okay.
about the
Wednesday
game they
lunchtime,
lost.
more from Danny
Anyway.
and Martin just after this as we head towards 1
Okay.
o'clock.
But then they lost that game, by the way. They lost it. And there's no hiding away from it. And you can just about see the devastation in some of the Liverpool fans where they left the stadium, before. I've never seen Liverpool like that. But for Kaiser to come out and say the dressing room was, was just silent, which is fine. Sometimes silent is golden and silent is louder than screaming and shouting. And people just look at each other in silence and go, you know what, I was shit. No, you was shit. Or you don't need to scream and shout at each other about that. But you just know people will be looking at each other like, bro, you should have done better in that position. But he really has got to try and adapt to these guys, because by the time this guy comes back, Frimpong, what is he going to do? Jeremy Frimpong is currently injured. By the time he comes back, what's Liverpool going to do, really? It might just be too late. Anyway, let's listen to the guys at TalkSport. Let's see what they got to say here. Jamie.
Crystal Palace. Former Premier League manager Alan Pardew has claimed he's just put himself under more pressure.
I mean, looking at the feedback he's had after last night and the team that he selected, he's put himself under massive pressure. Something that he wouldn't have expected, particularly with the signings they made in the summer. But the gelling, the coming together of that squad looks all over the place at the moment. There's definitely a feeling of unease that is spreading.
Yeah, Liverpool fans, I want to hear from you because it's not going well at the moment. What has actually happened? Is it Arne Slot? Is it the players need to be better? 03717 22 33 Let's get a bit more of this. And cross over to writer, broadcaster for the Times, Tony Evans joins us. All right, Tony?
Good morning, Tony.
Hi, Jamie. How are you? How are you, Gabby?
You all right, mate?
Tony, Slot, the other night, I have to say, I was a bit surprised at how young that team was, how inexperienced, and the bench as well, Tony. Didn't even put any big hitters on the bench to get himself out of trouble. He just kind of let it go, didn't he?
Yeah, I can see the logic of it, with 3 really big games coming up, Villa, Real Madrid, and then Manchester City. But there's times when you need a victory, you need a win, and I think he got it wrong.
He got it absolutely wrong.
It's one of them. It's easy to understand why he's done it. But when you're on a run like this, you need to build confidence and get things moving again.
What do you think the big problems at Liverpool? I mean, going forward, Ekatike's look sharp. Isak hasn't got going yet. Neither has Wirtz. Salah's not been at his best. But the defensive record, I mean, they've conceded first in the last 7 games. I mean, you would never have thought that, would you, last season, with the quality they've got back there?
Yeah, well, Gabby, you change both full backs, then there's going to be uncertainty. The goalkeeper's injured, Alisson's injured, and so you've got a second choice in there. The buys, integrating the summer buys, and let's face it, everyone in sort of who supports Liverpool was really happy with the summer business. But you look at it now and you think there's too much change, and he struggled to integrate the players. Also there's personal form. We've had drop-offs all over the pitch, and sometimes bizarre choices. There's times when I would have started Ekatike, above the other forwards, and yet he's been on the bench. So it's one of those situations where if this show went on till midday, and we could probably talk about all Liverpool's problems, but there's so many of them, and he's got to solve some of them quickly.
Yeah, look, I'm disappointed in Slot actually, because I was expecting more from him. As a manager, he's won the league. He come in, and there's been question marks over, the fact that he won the league, and you can't take it away from him. But it was Jurgen Klopp's side, and anyone who says it weren't, they're right? They're an idiot. It was Jurgen Klopp's team. They didn't buy anyone. He come in and look, he got them organised. They played a different style, a bit more defensive. It was Jurgen Klopp's team. This is his team, and he's having a disaster. So, is there pressure on him?
Not at this stage, but I think it will mount very quickly if they look like they won't finish in the top four. I think one thing I would say is Jurgen Klopp never won the league with that team. So, you know, to say it's his team is a little bit... I understand what you're saying, but he got the best out of them, which Klopp, at the stage of his career, didn't. Now, how much... I mean, I was listening to Danny Murphy... in the show earlier on the news, and he was saying, talking about the recruitment and how much say Slot had in it. I think he had a reasonable say, but certainly it's not. He's not the man who's made the decisions to go out and buy these players. So one of the reasons they brought him in is they didn't want a charismatic manager like Klopp. They wanted someone who could manage the players that he brought in, that the recruitment department brought in, and, you know, sort of could improve them and coach them. I think they've just given them too much of a job to do.
Well, Tony, what I don't like, though, is that recently some of the things he's been coming out with after games, after the Manchester United game, he come out and says, you know, the ball's in the air too much, and then the last game he's talking about Chelsea and the squad they've got available. Man City made 10 changes and there could be a starting team. I haven't got that squad of players. You spent £420 million. How haven't you? Whose fault is that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had the same feelings as you. You know, there's sometimes when managers should just shut up and say nothing, especially when things are going badly. Because, you know, as a player, I've spoken to so many players.
I know that feeling, bro. I know that feeling.
Over the years. And when...
That feeling is like when Amorim just talk and doesn't shut up, man. Every interview he just drops himself in it. Every interview drops himself into it. And that feeling has been around United for the last 11 months or so, to going 12 months now. The guy doesn't know when to shut up. When you get asked a question, you just have to ramble and go round and round. And, you know, like, just shut up. Just give them a word answer and move on. You know, Slot is currently going through that, where he just rambles and makes and gives the journalist or whatever, the media, a headline for them to print for the next day. And you can see here clearly he's talking about low blocks, he's talking about high ball, the ball is too much in the air, long balls, long throws. That's football. You got to adapt. That's your job to get your players up to scratch and get them playing football the same way everybody is playing, or the way you want them to play, but winning games. But the minute you know winning games, you've got no leg to stand on. Just shut up and get them playing football.
When the managers say things like that, they're like, ooh, you know, it's kind of like, it puts doubt in the mind. So, yeah. you've spent that much money. Stop complaining. Get it right.
Yeah,
100%.
Tony, you're a star, mate.
Spot on, Tony. Thank you, mate.
Thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
03717 223344. If you want to have your sound list, phone lines are
How you doing, boys? You alright?
I'm alright, Luke.
Right,
mate. Look, it's all going wrong for Arne Slot, and I'm guessing the only thing I can say is there's been too much change.
I don't know. I just, like, even against Crystal Palace, I don't really know where Arne Slot's head is at, because I think one of the boys said it the other day. It's just, with Crystal Palace, a bit of a bogey team, right? I've been going to Liverpool for over 10 years, and every time I've seen us play Crystal Palace, we've never beat them. And surely he's got to be sitting here and going, right, we've got the Carabao Cup, or whatever they still call it now.
Yeah, Carabao
the Premier League's a bit of a ray at the minute. and let's still have something to go for. But now that's out the window. We put out a team of teenagers, and it just doesn't give me any confidence for tomorrow.
But I don't think though, Luke. I don't think he's ready to throw the towel in on the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? You can never throw the towel in the Premier League, but I don't think he's ready to give it up completely. That's why he put that team out, because I think that team says to me that he knows he's under pressure. He knows he's got a big week coming up. He cannot afford to lose against Aston Villa. He can't lose that game.
Of course, but in a way with the Carabao Cup, if he's gone for the Carabao Cup, then there's 4 competitions right now. We're only down to 3. If he loses again on Saturday, then it could look like we're only down to 2. Do you know what I mean? It's getting to the point where it's like, where does it stop? When it comes to the FA Cup, is he going to put out another team and then we're only down to 1?
I think the players have to be at fault as well. You've got some superstar players that need to turn up on the weekend. Ekitike, Salah, McAllister, Gravenberch, if he's back, Curtis Jones, Kirkes. Do you know what I mean?
Kirkes ain't ready to play for Liverpool.
Yeah.
No, he's not. I know.
Yeah, he ain't ready. I don't know what you think about him, Luke. I liked him at Bournemouth, and no one said it was a bad signing. But there's a huge difference between playing for Bournemouth and playing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Do you know, like there's scrutiny every single time you touch the ball, and Kirkes is coming under it right now. Like, what's wrong with playing Robertson? Like, Robertson's a brilliant player still. You can still play him and drip feed Kirkes in. He's gone the other way.
I don't understand why Robbo got the elbow so early. He's been great for us all the time he's been there. He's never had any flaws. I've loved Robertson right from the start. And for him to get the elbow straight away, I was a bit like, I weren't really too happy with that. It was a bit sad to see because he's been there for so long and there's so much respect with him and the Liverpool players. And it was just, I like Kirkes. It was a good signing. And I thought, that's not a bad signing. I thought he'd do quite well at Liverpool. But obviously he hasn't quite showed up. And in the likes of Isak and all the money they spent for him, me personally, I never would have bought Isak because when Ekitike came in, I was like, yeah, I like you.
I know, but you're never going to say no to it, are you? You're not going to say no to Isak, are you? It's not your money. You spent a lot, but you know, if you can get Ekitike and you can get Isak over the line, why would you not? But you got to find the right balance at the moment. You know, Mark Gay is probably the player that you needed more than Isak right now, but he's not going to say no to it, are you?
Yeah, it was a real shame that we didn't get Gay here because I think obviously defensively we've had them problems for a few years now, and that could have been obviously with Kanate's contract coming in, a bit of a raise and whatnot. That would have been a big answer.
Hopefully Manchester United can sign him
Luke,
next
listen,
season.
mate, thanks for your call.
Thank you very much, mate.
Gabs, the only defence I've got for Arne Slot, there has been a lot of change, and he talks about the squad, and he's saying Man City's got a better squad, Chelsea got a better squad. A lot of players did leave Liverpool, and why they left, I'm not like Diaz, Harvey Elliott, Quansah, Nunes.
Yep.
Now you go through players who were there last season.
Diaz
Big
was the
impact. Yeah, big impacts on the team. Sadly, they lost Jota as well.
Yeah.
So there has been a lot of change there.
Of course.
But you know, and you bring players in, but really you say they've spent a load of money. You know, they've brought players in. They spent 500 million, but really they're just replacing the players that have left.
Yeah, and I think, like you just mentioned there, you know, the death of Jota. We'll find out more over the course of the season. At the end of the season, how much it's affected those players.
Yeah.
Do you know when you imagine you're in the changing room and you're used to being next to a teammate?
Yeah.
And what them players are going through emotionally, it's going to affect you on the pitch as well. So you have to put that into context as well for this group of Liverpool players.
Big time, Jota, and that I think that's currently playing a part in their heads. Like you're thinking. You're sitting next to. You used to sit next to him in the changing room, on the bench, during training, pre-season, and all of that. You used to go on trips together, family trips together, and everything. And all of a sudden, this guy is no longer with you guys, bro. I don't even know where I'll start as a teammate, you know. But what I've been told as well is like he was so close with Mo Salah. Like they were like best friends, you know, and you can see why. But this could be a case impacting them right now because, come on, Liverpool they've got world class players. They've signed world class players. They've got some of the biggest players, you know, and I think Jota's passing is still impacting some of these players. I know Mo Salah is probably the strongest guy you can think of, but sometimes mentally, You walk into that dressing room every day. I think they've retired his box. You know, I think they retired his box in there at some point, where his cupboard, his locker. No one. Imagine you sitting next to that locker every day, thinking, "Oh, that's Jota, that's Jota, that's Jota." Rest in peace to the guy. Rest in peace to the guy. Fans they just need to try and understand. Maybe Mo Salah needs to come out and say something about it. That is finding it difficult. Is finding it hard, because this is a problem. Because we don't talk. A lot of people say men don't talk, but if that's impacting you, he's probably getting the right treatment for it, the right help. He's getting counselling sessions and everything else. But maybe it would just be nice to come out and say, you know what, I'm struggling to cope with the death of Jota. I'm struggling to, every day I come into the changing room or the training room, he's no longer there, and just the way he passed, I'm struggling with all of that. Maybe some of these players need to talk. I think the Premier League needs to put something like that in place where players can actually say something. But you don't want to use. Players don't want to be judged as well. Maybe people start looking at them like, "Why are you making excuses? We've all lost people." But everyone grieves differently, bro. Everyone grieves differently, and I believe the passing of Jota has seriously impacted these players, the whole team, including the manager. He was one of the best players last season. I know people say he won the league with Klopp's team. Klopp did not win the league with his team. Klopp did not win the league with this particular team. He got them to where, they're capable of winning it. But Arne Slot came in and he had to tweak the team a little bit and won the league with them. So big, massive respect to Arne Slot. But Mo Salah is struggling. And next to Jota there, he's struggling because Jota is a special player, man. He was a special player when Liverpool got him. I was gutted when they got him. I wish he had come to United. But this could be the case as well. Now they just can't play without certain players. And selling all those other players. By the way, he replaced all those players, by the way. They are replaced. But I just don't think they can beat Aston Villa this weekend. I can't see that happening. I can't see that happening. I can't see them beating Real Madrid either, because they're so motivated right now, Real Madrid, after the Barcelona game, because they want to be top again. Liverpool can get a result, but it's difficult. So Slot is going to find out, he's going to find things really difficult the next few weeks. And if the board are not like, what do you call it, the United board, they'll probably get rid of Slot very soon. I genuinely believe, like, the guy, I'm listening to some fans right now saying, get him out. Let's put that on, actually. Let me share that with you guys. This fan is calling for Slot to be sacked. Get him out. Yo. Some are saying gone by the weekend, How can you call for his head, bro? How can you call for his head? Someone that's won the league like a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, you want him gone.
Andy. He's a Liverpool fan, right, Andy?
Hi, Andy.
Hi, guys. How are you both? You okay?
Well, how are you feeling? Look, I'm a Spurs fan. I'm annoyed tonight, but ours was a tough fixture away from home. But look,
Jamie, mate, I've been. Do you know what? I've been calling in for a while now. Even at the back end of to be honest, even halfway through the end of last season, just to say, like, we had to be really careful even last season because we were so lucky that we were playing just technical, boring, slow, 5-yard pass football, and we got away with it. And then this season, we've been found out we are just appalling. We need to get Arne Slot out because he is absolutely murdering the legacy.
Arne Slot out? You want him out?
Get him out. Get Arne Slot out. He is killing this club.
Wow.
Honestly, the guy has not got a clue. Honestly,
wow.
Firstly,
We had a clue last season when you won the league.
Wow.
Mate, I was saying last season that we had to be really careful because the way he was playing, there was Jurgen Klopp brought success. I know I shouldn't compare, but I'm gonna. But Jurgen Klopp brought emotion, passion, and hard work to Liverpool. Not just we won the league on hard work. If you looked at the midfield that we had when we won the league, they weren't technically the best players at all. You know, Jordan Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, those players, they were good players. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, compare them to like Man City's midfield, technically they weren't as good. But what they did have was energy, passion, drive. They put the graft in.
Wow,
But this season, forget today's game because we put out, whatever that was.
Andy, do you know what's an incredible stat? When Liverpool won the league last year, they beat Spurs, didn't they? And won the league.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was 4 players started at the weekend from that team. That's
It's
how many
embarrassing,
changes there's been.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like you had a winning formula last season. You had that, and I don't get me wrong. I know you want to bring your own stamp on things, but you don't just rip the whole winning formula out in one go. You do it drip by bit. You know, we've just turned into we've tried to do this whole Galactico thing of just buy every player just because we think we've got the money, and you can see Arne Slot has not got a clue. Every week it's a different team, but every team we put out, we play these 5-yard passes. Dean, you probably saw that when you watched the game today, and you've probably seen it all season. But he talks about playing with this double pivot, but every time our back four has got the ball, one player is stood in front of them. Everybody else is just occupying space somewhere else on the pitch, and we cannot play through the lines.
Well,
So
also, Andy, Liverpool had wide receivers, which were Salah and Diaz, who will run without the ball. Nunez will run without the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Van Dijk used to ping that ball to Salah. He stopped doing it. He's not doing it like he was doing it before. Obviously, you've lost Trent's range of passing, disguise passing as well. But just to make you realise, because I don't think people realise, the players who've left the club from last season, Trent, Elliott, Quansah, Robbo's not playing, left back, Diaz, Nunez, Kelleher, Tsimikas has gone. There's a few others. Who else has gone? Jota, obviously, tragically gone. But all them players for me, I wouldn't let any of them go.
Yeah, they're all top quality players, and like you say, we've let them go so we could buy in these sort of players that are going to sell the T-shirts and things. And literally, the only one that you can really think about that's actually hit the ground running is Ekitike, and he's been dropped to put Isak on the pitch. And you're just thinking, what on earth is going on in like this? The mentality. Why is our mentality switched? You know, honestly, you're the one in control of putting the players out on the pitch. You're the one who's supposed to be getting these players ready, getting these players organised, but also getting these players getting ready to play with passion. I'm telling you now, Jurgen Klopp would absolutely not have let these players go out at the start of this season with what happened to Jota and play like this. They would be playing with so much passion and emotion, and yet what we're playing with is just dead energy. And
Andy, you're the first person that's rung up, right? You're the first person I've heard saying it for about 6 months. Hard work. That's gone out, like, that word has sort of got this high press now, or get through the press, or pressed well. How about basic hard work?
Yeah.
Which
absolutely.
Liverpool's front three, even when Mane was there, Firmino and Salah, the front three, you had to get past them three who worked their socks off. They all sprint. So the first message that needs to go into Gakpo, Ekitike, Isak, Salah. By the way, have you four stopped sprinting? They never played tonight, so I'm not having a go at them tonight. Just in general, it has to be pumped into them that comes first. We sign
100%,
talented players who work hard, and you sprint, you get your foot in, and you make it difficult for them to come out against you.
They've gone away from that.
And do you know what, Dean? Wait, sorry, Jamie, to interrupt you there, mate. But like, Gravenberch is a great on the ball player, right? But other than that, he doesn't offer much. Gakpo, the only thing he does is gets the ball on the left hand side, cuts on his right foot, whips it in. That's all. There's nothing else that's offered. When Gravenberch was brought in, he didn't get a sniff in the team, and we brought in Endo because we needed somebody who could actually angle and play off the ball and defend off the ball in the midfield. Because, like you said, we had a great front three in Diaz, Nunes, or Jota, bless him, and Salah, who, as you say, could do the hard work. If you got past them, then you had Soboslai, and then Endo, a quality little terrier player, and McAllister, who was one of those who was great on the ball. And then once you got past all of that, then you got to Konate, Van Dijk, and Robert. I don't put Trent in there because he couldn't defend, but he did all right every now and again. But
don't get away from the fact
when Trent played for England, there was no wide receivers, and he got the blame. Trent's like a quarterback.
Yeah,
he can. If you make a run, it's Tom Brady, the equivalent. He'll find you over the top of somebody. Trent could find you, but now they haven't got wide receivers.
Andy, thanks for calling. I'm going to go to Lee. He's a Liverpool fan. Lee.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, you all right?
Lee, what's going on, mate?
Liverpool
this
fans.
is a disaster.
I think you've hit nail on head when the show started that what is Arne Slot doing tonight? I mean, you've got fans there, they're working hard, they're paying a lot of money.
It goes back to paying fans, paying a lot of money. That is actually doing my head in. That all they talk about is I'm paying my hard-earned money to go watch it. Stop paying it and don't go. Don't watch them.
How much are you paying to get in, by the way? How much is it to get in? How much is it to get in the ground tonight, League Cup?
You're looking at least £40-50 to get in tonight. Then obviously you've got your travel costs and things like that.
Yeah.
But my main issue for me is, especially with the Carabao Cup, you're getting a lot of fans that they only have that opportunity to go to the game. And do they not care about the fans, these managers that are just...
Wow.
I mean, I understand resting players. Every team rests players in the Carabao Cup, and that's fine.
Yeah, but tonight was ridiculous. He threw the towel in, mate. The bench as well was a disgrace. Do you know, as Dean makes a good point, Lee, like, you can rotate and you can almost say, right, we're going to give some young lads a chance, get them some experience. So I can almost understand it. But you have Salah on the bench. Do you know what I mean? You have your best players on the bench to say, you know what, if it's 0-0 or the game's getting away from us a little bit, I'll bring on the big guns and we might win it or we might nick it or we won't embarrass ourselves. But embarrass yourselves tonight, and 6 out of 7. It's getting a little bit. This is getting a little bit ridiculous now.
I'm reluctant to have a go at him, Ginny, because I've been a manager and I know how hard it is, and I don't know what's going through his head. He's probably thinking about the games coming up; they're more important. But I'm on TalkSport. I'm getting paid to give my opinion, so I'm going to have to criticise him. I think he deserves it.
Lee, we've had the first one come on and say he wants him out.
I won't go that far. That's going a bit far, a bit like his team selection. But I definitely won't call for his head yet. But I think he does need to take a look. Some of the selections he's making, I don't think the fans agree totally at all. And like I said, there's a lot of fans there that have come tonight. Probably their only chance to go watch a Liverpool game, with it being the Carabao Cup.
You've watched the reserve team play.
Well, if they beat
we haven't
Villa,
even watched the reserve. We've not even watched the reserve, Jamie. We've watched the kids. That if Crystal Palace can afford to put a half decent side out, how can Liverpool FC not put a half decent side out?
I agree with you.
I agree, mate. I agree.
I think he's been disrespectful.
If they beat Villa in the next game, he was right. It's the only way you can make it amends.
That's another way to look
at it. If they get beat by
it.
Villa, then
I know,
coming on top of it.
You still need a result. Like, Liverpool need a result.
But if he plays a completely different team against Villa and they win, then
I know, but Klopp would rock up.
he can explain.
Klopp would rock up and want to win both of the games. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, he's been guilty of it as well. At Wolves away, he left all
Exactly.
they got knocked out of the League Cup.
Yeah.
Mate, I remember when Jurgen Klopp was in charge, when his team was cooking, right? When Liverpool were Liverpool, they're getting latter stages of every tournament, mate. Every tournament.
I played in the League Cup final for Aston Villa against Man United. Probably one of the best 3 days in my career.
Yeah.
So I look at the League Cup as a big trophy to win.
I've won the League Cup. It's amazing.
There we go.
It's a great trophy.
Yeah. To get to the
Well,
final
you
at
win
Wembley
tonight, you're in
and
the
play.
quarter-final.
There's 8 left. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You could get and you get another home draw, and then all of a sudden you're in the semi-final, and then it's worth winning. You're at Wembley, you know, and you look at it and you go, "Come on, lads! Like, I need a bit more from you. I need a bit more from the manager." Like Liverpool right now, the fans must be thinking, "What's going on here? Spent a fortune, and that's what we're putting out."
Football management is just finding a formula to get results, and sometimes you stumble upon it, and sometimes you make it happen. And at the moment, he's struggling to find the formula because he's got too many ingredients, actually. He signed too many players who want to run forward and don't want to run back.
Tonight. Same scenario. Arsenal in the same... They got Brighton, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, right? Same scenario. Arsenal, they made some changes. Saka comes on, scores.
Rice, come on.
Do you know what I mean? He brings on big players, gives them 20 minutes, half hour, go and stretch your legs, lads, go and enjoy yourselves, get something for the team. And then that quality comes on the pitch and everyone there goes, "Oh, Saka's on the pitch. We want to go and win the game." You know, Liverpool tonight.
The argument the other way would be if Salah played tonight and pulled his hamstring, they go, "Why is he playing in the game right now?"
I know, but these are elite athletes. Do you know what I mean, Dean? Like, you can't just constantly wrap people up in cotton wool.
Yeah,
They've done
you
that
can't
with this,
win.
it's got
You
injured
can't
anyway.
win.
You know what I mean?
You
You've got to
can't
let
win.
these players play.
Yeah, and fans out there will be saying, "You spent $500 million on the squad. Surely you can put a better team than that out." Because you're trying to win everything. When you spend $500 million,
true.
You're trying to win the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, World Club Championships, and the League Cup. You're trying to win it all.
Yeah, well, they ain't going to do nothing with that team, that's for sure. Let's go to Nicky, who's a Liverpool fan. All right, Nick?
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Paul. You okay?
Yeah, Arne Slot, what are you saying about him right now?
He's out of his depth, mate.
He's out of his depth?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you mean?
Wow.
We're not going to win the Premiership. Let's get it right. We're not. We're 7 points behind Arsenal. So we're not going to win it. So why don't you play strong the squad tonight and get to another round of the Cup? The only guys he played on the team was McCarthy and Robinson. That's it. Put all the kids out. And
Some of the squad numbers, mate, it looks like bingo.
so the team came out today, so we're going to get beat tonight. We're going to get beat. Went to the pub, a good bunch. After half time, so we were 2-0 down. I thought, I'm going home. You know, because he's out of his depth, mate.
I don't know if you can say he's out of his depth. He won the Premier League. He's getting it all wrong. I have to say that. I think he's getting it all wrong. Like tonight, I look at it. Tonight, Nicky, I look at it and go, you got to put a half-decent team out. You've been in bad form. You need the fans on side. You need a bit of, momentum, a bit of energy in the crowd, a bit of something. And you look and you get that performance, you get that result. And all right, look, you got Aston Villa at the weekend. It's a massive. You lose that, all of a sudden, people are going, hold on a minute, what is going on here? This is embarrassing. In the Cup, we're losing. I've just see a stat. It's the first time you've lost 5 domestic games on the bounce since 1953.
Wow.
I think my dad was playing then.
1953.
I think my dad played in that game.
Come on. You spent $500 million.
Well, in my opinion, we should have bought his equity, didn't need him. So the defender from Palace, which he should have had, we never got. But he should have been the same team every week. He plays
They're not messing about this fan base.
No, my best the way we are at the moment, Liverpool.
Do you want him out, Nicky? Do you want Arne Slot to go? Would you sack him?
You can't.
If you do it for the weekend, yeah. Yeah.
If he loses at the weekend. All right,
Whoa,
Nick, thanks for your call.
if he loses at the
get calls
weekend.
in.
If he loses at the weekend, you want him gone. Liverpool fans, man. Yeah, he's got. I mean, I can't fault that. Is that standards? Do you say that's standards? Have they got more standards than us United fans? Let's have a look here. What's the next one up there? We've got the guys at, ESPN. Again, they've got a lot to say about Slot. How many more excuses for Arne Slot? Bro, they're not letting up on him. He's getting it from everywhere. Is Liverpool clash with Aston Villa a must win? That is the question. If they don't win that, he's in trouble. So
here in the studio, continuing to talk about the fallout from Liverpool's League Cup exit to Crystal Palace and Arne Slot's decisions on the team selection that he put out there. He has come under criticism. He insists that his choices were about protecting key players from injury with the games that lie ahead. And this is what he had to say when it was put to him about the inexperienced squad that he did choose to take on Crystal Palace. He said, we don't have such a big squad as people might tell. There was so much focus on the amount of money we spent. People all of a sudden think we have 25 players available, but we mainly have 20 players. Then we have 4 injuries. I only have one right full back, Connor Bradley, as an example. Every time I had to play him twice in 3 days or 3 times in 7 days last season, I had to take him off with a hamstring injury or something else. Are you willing to take that risk with such a big week coming up? Beth Lindoff is now joining us, a Liverpool correspondent, but I can kind of guess what Craig's
No. I mean, we're just,
right now.
you know, whenever a team goes on a little bit of a bad run, we start hearing this spiel from managers. I don't think there's going to be a lot of sympathy coming Liverpool's way, bearing in mind they're the current champions of England. They spent a fortune in the summer. Yeah, they've got some injuries. They haven't got the most in the Premier League. You know, you've got Tottenham with 10 injuries at the moment to some key players. You got Fulham with 7 less of a squad. You got Brighton with 7 players out. They're expecting Gravenberg back potentially for the weekend. They are expecting Isak potentially back for the weekend, and so he rested a bunch of his first teamers. And he did play the kids, and we talked about this on Tuesday, I think, Stevie and I. We said, we think he'll weaken the team because he's going to be thinking foremost about Aston Villa at the weekend. So I wasn't surprised, and I wasn't surprised Crystal Palace went quite strong because the cup competitions for them have become very important and quite successful, actually, FA Cup and Community Shield. And so that wasn't a surprise, but I think we're already hearing what we're hearing from Arne Slot isn't going to wash, I think, with a lot of people, bearing in mind they have got a big squad and he has got a lot of talent to be able to select from. And no club, no team coming into sort of November, December is sitting there, unless you're the luckiest manager alive, Shaq is sitting there with, you know, every key player fit and available. Somebody's always dealing with something, and I don't think there's going to be much sympathy whatsoever.
Well, it's not getting any sympathy from me, not the kind of money that Liverpool spent this summer in reinforcing the reigning English champions. Now, all of a sudden, you have a couple of injuries and you're so threadbare that you put the kids out. No, that being said, this is what Liverpool do. Liverpool play the kids in these competitions. You saw that in both cup competitions last season. You've seen it season on for God alone knows how long. The only difference is the form that Liverpool come into this cup tie in, that Arne Slot is having to answer for, and this. Well,
I think
doesn't
Xhaka
help.
has been absolutely.
I don't think it affects them, or should affect them in any way.
I think he's a little bit harsh here.
Arne Slot answering to that poor form and his selection choices, I just think adds more pressure to the team. I don't feel he needs to answer this. He doesn't need to address it. But for some reason, he keeps getting asked about it. and he keeps answering it. And that
Well,
for me, is
that's
just
what
piling
I've
on
been
the
saying
pressure
about
on an already under pressure
my
starting
manager
11.
at
Much
United.
has been made, Beth, obviously, with what the guys have mentioned. 450 million spent in the
Xhaka is absolutely brutal here. He
summer,
said, "I
and
don't
then
feel sorry
was
for you. I'm not
fearing
here
that
to
he
feel
doesn't
sorry
have
for you.
quite
You
the
spent that
exact
much
squad
money.
that
You
he
need to
would
win the
need
games."
right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not been received particularly well, and I completely understand why. I think the makeup of Liverpool's squad at the moment isn't as balanced
6
as
losses
Slot would
in the
probably
last
like
7
it to
games
be.
in all
Now, he obviously
competition.
was
That's
involved
crazy,
in
bro.
those transfer decisions in the summer, but he was by far, he wasn't the only one. There's people above him who will have signed off on things and will have sat as a committee and made these decisions. Now, I think at the time when the Mark Gay deal fell through on deadline day, it felt like that was an error from Liverpool's part to let it get to that point where they ended up leaving themselves short. I think that was the big sort of glaring gap in the squad that a lot of people would have liked to have been filled. Now, there was an element of bad luck in the sense that Giovanni Leone, the other centre-back that they brought in, who looked very good on his debut against Southampton in the last round of the cup, picks up an ACL injury and is now out for the season. So from potentially going into the season with 5 centre-backs, had Gay's deal gone through, they've now got 3. So there is an element with Arne Slot where that he's not wrong. I think there are areas in the squad that could have been bolstered in the summer and weren't. But ultimately it's the squad that he's got now, and he's got to work with it. But I think in terms of the rotation, and as Craig sort of alluded to earlier, I think regardless of what would have happened last night, the big game and the big games are those 3 coming up: Aston Villa at the weekend, Real Madrid in the Champions League, and then Manchester City. I think regardless of what happened in that cup game, those 3 games would still be massive, and that is obviously where his priorities lie.
Yeah,
and
I
that
can
is
see
why
it.
he ultimately decided to go with that team that he went for last night. And
So he's got Aston Villa, Real Madrid, and Man City, 2 Premier Champions League. They're not easy games to rescue. Those 3 games. You can't say. I'm not gonna say sack him after those games because they're really big games. Because if we can give the United manager leeway, if he had lost at Liverpool, why can't he do the same for the champions, the guy that won you the league?
And you can maybe look at the full-backs outside them, and Kerkez is definitely struggling. But I've mentioned on here many, many times, I don't think Van Dijk's helping him as a captain. I really think he's kind of thrown him under the bus a little bit with his gesticulating to him in front of the crowd, and as a young player, it just drains your confidence. But there's no doubt himself, and particularly Konate, have not played well. For 7 months last year, Liverpool were pretty much flawless domestically. And so was Arne Slot. Whether it was on-field decisions or whether it was press conferences. And we all sat here and said, man, this guy speaks normally. And he speaks pretty truthfully. And he speaks a lot of common sense. And what we're seeing here is a manager who really, for the first time in his Liverpool career as a manager, has been asked a lot of questions. And he is going down the path that a lot of managers go down, where a lot of it's kind of gobbledygook. He talks about the right back and Frimpong's out and having to play Bradley 3 times in a week. Shaq and I were sitting saying, back in the day, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a week. That was the norm. That was the norm. You played on a Saturday, you played on a Wednesday, you played on a Saturday. That's not a big deal. Shouldn't be for these super fit players these days. And also, he's played Szoboszlai there, but also he could put Joe Gomez there. Joe Gomez has played right back 100 times. I know it's not ideal, but he could put Joe Gomez there. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, I think, here that the manager's just trying to make an excuse. An excuse at the moment because he can't figure it out. He can't work out what his best team is. He's not been able to get Florian Wirtz in the side and working, so he took him out. I think he made a big boo-boo in 2 games, Chelsea and Man United, by playing Alexander Isak ahead of Ekitike, and I think most people shared that sentiment. But let me just tell you one thing. When he went down to Stamford Bridge, Arne Slot with this Liverpool team, And they got played off the park, they got outworked and they got outthought. And they deservedly got beat. Chelsea had 10 injuries that day. Chelsea had double the injuries Liverpool had. Chelsea had a makeshift back four. Chelsea had two centre-halves that I don't think had ever played together, or certainly hadn't played together many times. So they had their own issues. So this is not a Liverpool thing. This is an Arne Slot needs to figure this out, and he needs to figure it out fast. You saw that graphic. Villa, who have 5 on the bounce, including Tottenham away and City at home, so they're finding their feet. Real Madrid have just won the Clasico. And Man City, who did have a bad defeat at Villa Park, but apart from that, have been scoring goals for fun. So he has to find a way to figure out all these problems, and he has to do this very, very soon. And stop making
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. Just, they're saying, shut up, stop making excuses, keep it moving, get the formula right, get them back playing. But none of the guys on the media, the pundits, including Xhaka here, none of them are talking about Jota. They've lost a lot of players, including tragically Diego Jota, rest in peace. They lost big players that used to come off the bench, change the game for them, win the game for them. They've lost senior players, first team players that used to win the game for them without having to rely on the guys coming off the bench. But no one seems to be taking that into consideration. Yeah, he signed a lot of players, 400 over half a billion. But give them time. I think once they click, it's going to be scary times for the Premier League, like I said before. But it'd be nice to hear from some of the players like Salah, because I know they were really good friends, Salah and Jota. Is that impacting him? I think they used to sit next to each other in the dressing room as well. Could that be the case here? Mentally, are they still grieving? But at the same time, they got to start winning games for Jota. Start playing for Jota. Win the league again for Jota. Let's do it. He might not be here, but he's with us in spirit. So they got to use that as a motivation, really, rather than hindrance, rather than something that could stop them from winning it. So now I'm just saying, just get them to do it, right? Anyway.
hierarchy are right behind him, but it's obviously difficult to stay behind a manager if they just can't win games. So it is a really decisive week. And I think just to add as well with what the guys were saying about the excuses and things like that, you know, I feel a little bit of sympathy for Slot in the sense, you know, I've been at a lot of his press conferences both last season and this season, and actually I don't think his demeanour has been particularly different. I think when you're winning games and when you're losing games, the positives that, you know, last season about him being honest and giving tactical insight and things like that are now being interpreted as, oh, he's telling the opponents how to beat him. And so it's very difficult. You know, Ruben Amorim has been through it, Mikel Arteta has been through it. When you're not going through the best patch, everything that you say gets dissected, and I think that is maybe what he needs to be conscious of, because he's maybe creating headlines where it will be better to just maybe keep a little bit quiet, I think, at the moment.
He's not going anywhere. Arne Slot's not going. He could lose the next 3 games. He's not going anywhere.
But he has to win that next
Liverpool
game.
rarely act in a sort of knee-jerk, and they rarely have the kind of knee-jerk reaction to bad results. And the online fan base, I wouldn't give a toss about any of them. The actual fans that go to the game, the match-going fans, the ones with common sense, can see how good a manager he is. The problem is he's got to find a way to figure this out. It's not injuries that are meaning Mo Salah's not playing well. It's not injuries that he selected Alexander Isak over arguably the best and most dangerous player since the Community Shield, and Hugo Ekitike. Alexis McAllister hasn't played particularly well. He's had an injury, hasn't looked himself. Gravenberg hasn't quite looked himself. Szoboszlai's been shifted from pillar to post. The whole Wirtz thing's been well publicised. And I go back to it. The back four, the 2 centre-halves, the real fulcrum of that back four haven't really played well this year. Van Dijk and Konate have struggled to control a back four that has changed full-back positions, whether it be Frimpong or Bradley or Szoboszlai or Kerkez. And, you know, there was even a point you thought, well, you know, maybe we'll have to bring Andy Robertson back in full-time to give Kerkez a rest. But Andy Robertson, he played yesterday, but he played for Scotland a couple of weeks ago and he really struggled. So that's not an easy one, just to say to Kerkez, you know, I'm going to just give you a little bit of a rest to try and get your confidence back. He's having to throw him in, and he's struggling, the young man. I mean, he can't wait to pass the ball 5 yards. And you can sense it in the crowd. And when a player senses it in the crowd, he becomes even more nervous when he gets on the ball. And it's even worse for him when your skipper is giving you a grilling. So it really is a difficult time. And they face Villa on the weekend, who will just sit back like a cat waiting to pounce. That's what Aston Villa will do. And guess what? That's been one of the Achilles heel of Liverpool this year, is when they've been pressing and when they've been attacking, when they've coughed the ball up, they've been counter-attacked so easily that teams have been able to get at their goalkeeper and at the back line. So I think Aston Villa are one of the worst teams they could have been facing at home this weekend because of the contrast and styles of play.
Is it a must-win at the weekend then, Beth, against Villa, considering the results so far?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Craig. I think even if he lost the next 3, I think it would be difficult to see a world where he goes, just purely because of the credit that he's got in the bank and for all of those reasons I mentioned earlier. So in one sense, you could say, you know, it's not a must-win in terms of his future, but I think in terms of just changing the mood around, you know, there was a week last season where Liverpool played all 3 of these next 3 teams, Aston Villa, Real Madrid and Manchester City, in the same order in the space of a week, and it was sort of season defining in a way because they won all 3 of those games without conceding a goal. And I think it was the week that really made everyone sit up and take notice of how good Liverpool were. And you know, I think if they manage to get positive results in those same fixtures this week, then it could be a turning point in the season. If they don't, then it's hard to see how they get out of it. I think the fact that they're at home will be a big boost. I asked Arne Slot last night after the game, you know, do you feel like the pressure is on a little bit more having made that gamble in midweek? And he sort of said, listen, if you're Liverpool manager, the pressure is always on when you're losing games. And he said the support of the fans at Anfield last night was really encouraging, and he feels that will be massive. So Liverpool have had quite a lot of away games the last couple of weeks, which isn't an excuse, but I think the fact that they are now back at home for the next couple could be really useful. And I think it could be a real springboard then if they're able to get a positive result against Aston Villa. They go into that game against Real Madrid then with a little bit more confidence. If they lose that game, then trying to plan to face Kylian Mbappe and Vinny Jr. and Jude Bellingham and all those kinds of players, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, won't sound like much fun at all for Liverpool.
Yeah, let's see what happens against Aston Villa this weekend. We'll be watching them. We'll keep a closer eye on it. I might stream it, actually. I might stream that game. But the fact that they've not been able to change the game, to change the narrative in 7 games, lost 6 games out of 7, that's the sticky part for me. But to call for his head right now, it just doesn't make sense. Because he's still within top 4 reach. He's still going to qualify for the Champions League. He might not be able to win it this year, but once he get his team going again, it might cause some trouble for certain teams ahead. With that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Shout out to everyone that's currently enjoying the Liverpool blip. I'm loving it. United, we're back slowly. Hopefully, we win the rest of our games. They will go top 4. Once we win our 2 games, we'll probably be closer to Arsenal than ever. And Arsenal fans screaming out, shouting, thinking they're going to win the league. We'll come for you, don't worry. We know how you guys roll. First half of the season, you win every game. Second half of the season, you lose every game. And you start panicking. But anyway, with that being said, have a good day. See you guys soon.